All right, welcome to the Two Fiber Artist Podcast. I am Sarah,
I'm Adonijah.
and today we're going to talk about our origin stories, how we got started doing all the wonderful crafts that we enjoy doing. Adonijah, what are you working on today?
I am knitting a hat for my father-in-law out of wool. I will hopefully finish it before the end of this podcast, because I'm going to see him this weekend.
Very nice. I am working on the honey tank from Brianna, and I am using brown sheep cotton blend. I can never remember which weight's which. One's cotton fine, one's cotton fleece. I guess the cotton fine would be the thinner one. And I'm pretty sure this one's the cotton fleece, which is their DK. And I don't know when it'll be done. It's just something I sit and work on in the background.
Nice.
And so today we're talking origin stories. We thought it would be nice to let you know how we got started and all of the different crafts that we do. We do not both do the same crafts. Um, there's a lot of overlap, but there's some differences as well. I grew up in a crafting family. I'm at least fifth generation hand maker. I have stuff from my great grandmother that's embroidered, and I have some of my grandmother's crochet bits. And my mom was a crocheter while I was growing up. I used a crochet hook from the age of 4, and I learned how to chain. I did not learn how to crochet for a really long time. We'll get into that in a minute. While I was growing up, when I was younger, like we're talking like 3, 4, I loved doing the latch hook rugs. Those were so much fun. I still enjoy squishing those little containers of yarn, those short strips of yarn. Um, I don't have any of my finished pieces. I did that all the way into middle school. I picked up plastic canvas for a while and made stuff. I did cross stitch. Cross stitch is the one that I started taking to school in my backpack and would do it during downtime, hoping I wasn't going to get in trouble because I had a needle in class. I never did get in trouble. I finished a dragon during high school, which has still not been framed. It's still rolled up and in its tube, but I finished it. Um, and then I finally learned to crochet after I got married, which was not very long after high school. Um, I decided I needed to be able to crochet. My mom could crochet, my younger sister could crochet, my grandmother could crochet. But I couldn't. It could not. It just did not click for me. I don't know why. I had tried. I had kept my chaining skill, albeit all those years, and would make chains for different various things, but I couldn't get beyond that. And I don't know what clicked. I don't know what was different. All I remember about the day when crocheting finally happened for me beyond the chain stitch is sitting in the dining room floor of mine and my husband's first apartment. We didn't have a table. We just sat on the floor and he helped. Does not know how to crochet. He knew how to read pictures though. And I think that was part of it. And he helped me follow the pictures and where the yarn was going to make the first double crochet, and then I made more and more, and then I was off and running. Crochet led into knitting only because I wanted to make something feather and fan. It was years before I finally made something feather and fan after I learned how to knit though. I'm trying to remember how many. I think it was like 6 years of knitting before I finally made something feather and fan. During my time crocheting and knitting at the beginning, I had started making baby clothes, and I wanted what I call real colors, not just those those pastel colors, because that just gets boring. It gets boring for me. I'm sure it gets boring for everyone else involved on the other end. So I wanted real colors. So I decided that I was going to dye the acrylic yarn If you've ever tried to dye acrylic yarn, you know it doesn't work. I ended up with a nasty mess, of course, because acrylic is plastic. And so it just melted in the pot, and that was kind of the end of that. But I was curious, okay, because I knew nothing about fiber. Nothing. I knew there was acrylic, and I knew sheep were a thing, but I didn't know the difference between wool and acrylic. Like, I have learned so much in 25 years, it's unreal. Anyway, I started digging. Okay, so how do you get these different colors of yarn? Because I knew people dyed their own yarn, but how? How do you do this? Oh, because they're using natural fibers, not this plastic petroleum-based stuff. Got it. So that led to me buying wool. We had a yarn store not far from the house at that point in time. Really, really nice shop actually. And I wish I had went there more, but I did get some wool. I started trying to dye things, had more understanding. Somewhere along the way, I ended up with a spinning wheel. I'm not even, I know why the person got rid of it. I'm not sure why I was chosen. I don't remember if I had mentioned I wanted to spin at some point or what, but she was just done with it. And she's like, I can't do this. I don't even want to try anymore. And you need to have it. Um, okay, thank you. I think. Thankfully, YouTube was sort of becoming a thing at this point, so I could watch some stuff. Um, and that yarn shop, I think, was still there. I don't remember for sure. But they didn't spin. It was a yarn shop. So I did some digging and I found a place further south, about an hour's drive, and I went, took my wheel, took the whole family because we made a day out of it and went down to Black Forest, and one of the owners there was nice enough to give me just this little 10-minute spinning lesson. And come to find out I was over I had the brake band too tight. That's all that was wrong. And then so when I figured out I had it too tight, I would loosen it way too far. And it's little tiny increments. So that's how I got into spinning. And then from there, that's why we ended up moving to the middle of nowhere to have alpacas, so I could have my own fiber. So that's when I started processing. Well, I was processing before we moved. And then somewhere along the way, I met a weaver. And I do a little bit of that. And I still do some embroidery on occasion. And once in a while, a cross stitch. So yeah, I have been since fully steeped. I know a whole lot more about fiber content and the difference that it makes in your finished pieces, in you actually, in the person that ends up wearing it or using it. I did a burn test video, and I will put the link in the description if you want to see, if you've not seen the difference in like cotton and wool and acrylic and surprisingly superwash wool. It's a surprise, I'm not going to tell you. Yeah, go watch this video. Yeah, fiber's life, at least for me. After Jesus, of course, but yes.
Well, and you had your master crochet thing at one point.
I actually have two of those now. I have two master crochet pins. I've been designing, I tech edit, I do coaching. Yeah, this stuff's important. I commented on I think it was a video or something the other day. They were talking about acrylic, and I'm like, you know what? Or the importance of sheep something. I'm like, the fibers that God gave us on day 6 are all we need.
Mhm.
And a lot of my dyes come from there now too. From not necessarily day 6 because some of the other creatures were before day 6, but can dye with with bugs and plants, things like that. Oh yeah, so I do dyeing. We talked about that a little bit. So Adonijah grew up watching all of this because she's what I refer to as an adjacent learner. She sits and watches it and then learns it like on her own.
Mm-hmm.
I Okay, so I am a right-handed crocheter and a left-handed knitter. And I am right-handed generally in life. If I pick up a new skill, it's anybody's guess as to which one it's going to be with. That's always fun.
And I am a left-hand crocheter and a right-handed knitter, and I'm left-handed with writing and stuff.
Yeah, even though she watched me, I did not teach her any of this. Like sit
Huh.
down, knee to knee, and teach her. She sat and watched me and then still did it backwards. So what's your story, girl?
Well, so obviously I grew up in the house watching you do everything. I think as young as 3, you gave me a knitting loom, and I remember making hats and stuff on those. Um,
Do you remember the
and
sleeves that you made?
I do remember those sleeves, and I think they were sewn to a Tinkerbell shirt.
No, I don't think it was Tinkerbell. It's just pink.
No, that's right, it was just a pink shirt. I think I started a new pair of sleeves, but we moved or something. Like, yeah, now I remember. And I think you still have that pink shirt in the closet somewhere.
That's possible. I
Um,
I know I have the picture.
um, yes, there was that the loom. I remember having a purple set of drawers that held my little tiny yarn stash. A lot of it was just odds and ends that you were done with. Um, and that sat in the basement, and I worked from there. And then I remember, I think when I was 6, you gave me a little packet like of laminated cards that you made to learn how to crochet left-handed, and I learned off of that. But I don't remember learning to crochet. I kind of just always knew, I guess, and that was 5 or 6. Um, but I never really stuck with anything. I started so many projects, never finished anything. I remember the first project that I finished that I'm actually proud of was that baby blanket that I still have, and it's striped. There's so many drop stitches in it. There's stitches I picked up, but I didn't pick them up correctly, so they look wrong. And I used to take that, and I would only work on it like once a week. And you had to like bribe me to finish it.
I'm glad you
Um,
still have that. I don't have any of my early work.
yeah, I don't know why I kept it, because it is nothing to be proud of except for the fact that I finished it.
Well, that's enough. You need to keep it. It's like I said, I don't have any of my early work. I'm not sure why. I don't know if it's because the ladies at group were fixing my things so well that even my early work was like okay to go to the hospital, where I was donating things, or I'm not really sure where my early work went.
Yeah. And I mean, it's definitely it has more sentimental value than anything,
Right.
because I finished it and now I can look at the work that I do now, and that's laughable, but maybe I'll get to add my kids' items to it and just have like a tote of first items.
There you go.
So with crocheting, I don't remember ever doing major projects with it. I know I did a few amigurumis, I remember this really horrible alpaca that I made for a kid. I was like 12. I had the hugest crush on him. And I made him the alpaca after he had an accident injury on or with my brothers. Different story. Um,
On a go-kart.
yeah, that was sometimes the only time there was ever blood on the floor. That required a hospital.
Yep.
Um, and then I think COVID was what kind of pushed me to try harder and explore into what I was actually capable of.
I have a question.
Yes,
So do you remember what you and I spent a lot of COVID doing?
listening to podcasts and crocheting.
Right. So how much did you learn from listening to those podcasts?
I don't know if it's actually anything I learned from the podcast itself, but
Okay.
just the fact that I was focused.
Got it.
And I mean, we were home the whole time, so I had you completely accessible to me. And I mean, when we started quarantining and everything, um, because we didn't, the school we were at, we didn't finish the, when we went on break for spring break and didn't come back, we didn't finish that year. We just ended it,
Right.
and said, see you in the fall.
Yeah.
So basically, I had like a 5 month long summer. So it was really just sitting out. There was nothing to do. We didn't have internet. There's only so much TV you can watch in a day. So we just sat outside. And that's when I learned to crochet more. I remember making a Little Red Riding Hood sweater.
Since we didn't have internet, we listened to podcasts because I would download a week's worth when we would go to town for church on Sunday. Well, we weren't even going to church.
Oh, so that's how you were getting them.
Yeah, they were all downloaded from whenever we went to town for, I don't even know, because we weren't grocery shopping at that point either. Your dad
No,
was bringing in food when he came home.
but you did go to the bus stop in Chattanooga to pick up food for the neighborhood.
Yeah, so maybe I was downloading them at that point, but yeah, they were all downloaded.
Mm-hmm. Um, I had made I had knitted a hoodie before then. I want to say it was before that.
It's not though.
It's not.
The picture that I took of you in that hoodie is outside of Strasburg Church.
That's right. I love that hoodie. I still have that hoodie. It does not fit, but obviously I'm not gonna get rid of it because um I may lose enough weight for it, probably not. But my kids could wear it, and given the colors, and it's actually a men's hoodie pattern I used, my husband might be able to wear it.
Yep.
Um, and I finished the Little Red Riding Hood sweater about a year before we moved. And then, like 3 months later, I got a dog, and so he has a matching sweater that I made him. And then I had a sweater that I moved when we went from Colorado to New Mexico. And I think it took me 2 years to finish. I lost my favorite cable needle that we still laugh about to this day. In the move with that project.
Shotzi, if you're listening, it's probably at your house. It's red.
Yeah, get it out back. I'll pay for shipping. Um, and then I think it was so when we moved here, I was in high school, and that's when I really got into stuff. I understood what knitting was and crochet, and obviously I could do some of it, but I wasn't really into it. It was just something that I knew how to do. And about at that point, I met one of my best friends, and actually ended up in this group of girls that one of my friends put together. She crocheted another one. She can run circles around anybody with any craft that she picks up. And then my other friend, she was a very beginner knitter. I remember how beginner of a knitter she was, and she's actually got to progress and learn so much because of our relationship and mom, you providing her with different tools and giving her access to different things.
She's been a fantastic investment.
She really has. She's gotten so good at what she does, and you can definitely tell the progress. She went from having just little scraps of yarn to I taught her how to build a yarn stash, and now because of her sister actually does it too. So it was kind of a 2-in-1 situation. And so I finished that sweater, and that's when I'm like, okay, I actually like knitting. And since then, I learned that I am not a monogamous knitter, and monogamous knitting is bad. 'Cause then you can't put project in timeout.
Right? Well, if you do, you don't have anything else to do.
Exactly.
You need at least two things.
Yep. And so I kind of expanded from there. I learned how to crochet deeper. I learned how to do more things. I learned how to cable knit through those two projects, those sweaters.
Okay, break.
Yeah.
Little Red Riding Hood was a crocheted cable pattern.
Yeah. Well, I'm talking about the hoodie and the sweater.
Okay, well, you didn't mention that Little Red Riding Hood was crocheted, so I wanted to make
Oh,
that clear.
I thought I did. I'm sorry. Yeah, the Little Red Riding Hood sweater is crocheted, and that actually taught me more about crocheting than I think everything ever has, because I am 5'4" with a very big chest. So my height and measurements, like, it was messed up. I had to do 2 different sizes to make everything fit. And so I learned how to read a pattern and understand where to do different sizes. Um, and so that was fun. That was my first big project. The Little Red Riding Hood sweater is 100% wool, and I'm very proud of that project.
You did a good job. It's a lot of thinking through the math, but it was worth it.
Yep, it definitely was. And then I moved to more complicated stuff and working on actually finishing projects.
All those tips you had started and collected through the years.
Yeah, a lot of those were frogged. I did not keep all of those.
And that's an acceptable choice.
Yeah, but
Now
now
you
that
have new yarn.
exactly, I didn't have to go shopping. Oh, I learned how to make socks. Um, I don't actually remember when I learned how to make socks.
Now, how do you make your socks?
I make them toe up, and I do a special cast on that I cannot explain. Maybe I'll post that on my YouTube channel. That is so the toe is seamless because I'm neurodivergent and I am very particular about my socks. And if I can feel a seam on my toe, I will take my socks off.
Yeah.
So I cannot do heel or whatever, cuff down.
That doesn't have a seam.
In the toe it does.
No, it doesn't.
Well,
Not
I
if you
can't
choose to
figure out
put
how to
Kitchener stitch.
Kitchener. Kitchener makes me cry.
Okay. All right. So toe up, double points, 2 circulars, magic loop.
I do double points.
Okay, cool.
That's the only way I know how.
Have you ever tried Magic Loop?
No,
I
I don't even know what that is.
really okay. We'll have to go down a rabbit hole one day. Um,
Okay.
we'll have to have videos though, because it makes my brain hurt.
Okay.
I just, but it might click really well with you. I've actually tried in the last year. I did an entire project purposely, Magic Looped. It changed my gauge was part of my problem. But it was
I,
something I was giving away, so it didn't matter. But it just wasn't, to me, it wasn't enough faster. I didn't see the advantage other than, okay, well, I won't drop my double pointed needle on the floor, you know? But that's about it. If you're going to be in a situation where you're concerned about dropping your double pointed needles, maybe choose a different project for that situation that's still small, like a hat. So, yeah.
yeah.
I mean, I don't know if I'll ever get there. I'll keep trying here and there, but all right. Well, what else do you do?
In high school, I learned how to embroider and I learned how to tat using a shuttle. I learned how to needle tat a while ago.
Would you prefer the shuttle?
Yes, so with the shuttle, you have a lot more abilities, I guess. Um,
Is it kind of like the difference between knitting and crochet? With knitting, you only have the next stitch available. With crochet, it's every stitch you've made so far.
I don't know because I haven't done
Because
it within knitting for so long.
the needle tatting, they're just on the needle. And you
Exactly.
might not be able to get back to the one that you want to. But with the shuttle, you can get to all those knots.
Yeah.
Okay. That might be some kind of oversimplification. Continue.
I got a spinning wheel. Oh, I actually got that in Colorado, but
You did, but
uh,
we didn't have a lot of space. Well, we were only there like a year after that, weren't we?
yeah, and unfortunately, the way I learned actually became an issue because that was when we finally went back to school, but we were online. So I was reading a book to pass time while spinning, and then it turns out when I go to just spin, I can't because I don't know what I'm doing.
That's kind of funny.
But I can spin, um, and I learned how to weave on a Cricut loom, I think is what it is.
It's a Zoom loom.
Zoom loom, okay. And then I have a flat loom. I don't know if that really counts because anybody could pick that up and do it.
You're talking
I
about
also,
your peg loom?
well, yeah, but it's not
Mhm.
actually called a peg loom, it's a board loom or something. I don't know.
Yeah, it's the one where you can move all the pins around and make different shapes.
Yeah. Um, I got that when I was in college. I know how to sew, which has helped some of my projects. And
I forgot about
I feel
stuff.
like I'm missing a few.
I learned to sew because of home ec classes in middle school. I still have a sewing machine. It is 22 years old this year, and I only use it if I have to, which turns out to be multiple times a year. But sewing is not my favorite thing.
Yeah, and I got one that's from the 60s or 70s, I'm not sure. I'm currently trying to put together, I'm missing one piece, and my dad's gonna help me. I think he's gonna try to 3D print the piece, which would be really cool.
That'll be interesting.
And looking around, I don't see anything else that I'm proficient in. I pick up a lot of stuff. So I have the knowledge of like tatting and stuff, which is definitely a dying art, but I do not do that on a regular basis because it's really annoying. Oh, I can make bobbin lace,
Nice.
which is, I appreciate the art of it and hate it. I do not like doing it.
That's a lot
Did
of
they
work.
do what?
That's a lot of work, at least to learn. I think it would probably be like anything else that once you know what you're looking at, you're good to go.
Right.
But you got to get there.
Yes. And I remember when reading patterns finally clicked. So for you non-knitters or hobbyists out there, patterns are very similar to any other, like learning a language. So it takes time, and same with reading a chart. And I finally became able to read both of those, I think my junior year of high school. And now that's made my life easier. It's also opened up doors for me to learn how to create my own stuff. Um, in the last 6 months, I learned how to brioche knit, and now I'm working on my own design and pattern for brioche knitting, um, which is becoming an adventure because I'm pretty sure I discovered how to do something that I can't find anywhere else. So I might have just made my own thing.
Like Elizabeth Zimmerman would say, you invented something because it's probably not new. It's probably done somewhere, sometime, long ago, and you just found it again.
Yep.
So, can you read crochet charts as well?
I can, um, but I don't care to.
You prefer the written?
I prefer the written with crochet. I prefer the chart with the knit.
That's interesting
Um, yeah.
because you're a left-handed crocheter.
Mm-hmm.
So your stuff comes out backwards if you read the instructions, correct?
Yes, but it's okay because it's consistent. So I just have to make sure, like, so when I'm making the left sleeve out of a pattern, it actually becomes the right sleeve.
Correct. But if you were to do a picture, like a
Yeah,
fillet crochet,
I've been doing fillet crocheting, um, and those are generally charts, and I just do the chart backwards.
but still a different kind of chart than a crochet stitch chart.
Exactly. That
That
one's
one's
just
like
like a grid.
a grid. That's a better way to describe what I was than what I was going to say. Yes, it is a grid. And you're working it backwards. So you had to adjust.
Yeah.
Got it. It's okay to be left or right-handed in either craft. It just
Just be consistent.
be consistent in what you do. Um, Figure out if the decrease needs to lean a certain direction, which knitters, you'll know what I'm talking about, then you need to figure out which of your decreases leans that direction. I can now so I'm a left-handed knitter, but I can knit right-handed. I don't choose to because it's too slow. I would get faster if I stuck with it, but I don't. But all of this has changed some of the words that I use when I do tutorial videos and as I'm teaching, so that I'm not saying the right hand needle or the left hand needle, and now which needle am I talking about because I forgot who I am at the moment. Yeah, so we have the giving needle and the receiving needle. And I've only found like 2 or 3 situations where that doesn't work well, and even then referring to it as the left or right-handed needle is not going to work great either. So at that point, I'm on video, I'm pointing to, okay, this needle here needs to do this. Yeah. That's just how it goes sometimes.
Yeah. I feel like you, even though it took me till high school to get there with my hobbies, you still definitely had a huge impact because you were available to teach me when I was ready.
I'm glad I could be there for that.
It was Interesting learning along the way.
Yeah. And I feel I can look back and see different things, and I kind of feel like Nana did the same thing for me to a point. Um, I got into cross stitch because of Ma'am. It was her thing, and she had us summers. So, and it, if I remember correctly, it stayed at her house during the summer, but it gave us something to do.
See, and I remember her teaching me how to cross stitch. I remember sitting in her lap
Yeah.
and her cross stitching over me, and I just sat and watched.
And she's the one who taught me latch hook.
Yep, and she gifted me that when I was like 7. She gave it to me for a birthday present. It was a Care Bear. I never finished it.
Yeah, again, I don't have any of my finished latch hooks either. Though I know I finished some. The one I remember was a VW bug, and I think that was the last one I did. And that was the rug in my bedroom floor for a very long time because I was into cars. So,
Yeah. Well, and then I was lucky enough, I think you were lucky enough, um, with the husbands we ended up with, because my husband works with agriculture, cows and sheep on the ranch he works for. And when they shear the sheep, most of the wool goes in the trash. Well, I helped with shearing last year, and so I have a giant trash bag.
yep. And well, you were talking about your dad 3D printing stuff, like for the sewing machine.
Mm-hmm.
He's been making my parts for forever. Crochet
Yep.
hooks, knitting needles. That first spinning wheel that I was given, he replicated that one. It's sitting in front of me right now with some merino on it. Makes all the things.
And
Fixes all the things.
he made me my first knitting Audie, um, which is I love. And he's pretty much replaced all my bad plastic pieces of different items. I had a cardboard tube that was holding my double point needles. He 3D printed a plastic container.
And pegs
And a
for your
lot of stuff.
loom.
Do what?
Pegs for your loom.
Yes, he did
Your pen loom.
3D print extra pegs, which was nice. And he 3D printed a ball winder for my friend.
Yeah, that was cool.
Yeah. Trying to convince him to make me one. But I have to buy filament, and I keep forgetting. What is he?
Yeah, it's nice when you have the support of those around you.
Yeah, and I knew that my husband was safe to stay when he did not judge me on my yarn stash that I had stored in the dorm. My roommate, it hated me for it, but it was funny. And now we have our own house, and I have 2 closets full of yarn.
And a trash bag full of fleece.
Yep.
So you spin and process as well.
I do. I don't think I do it correctly because you taught me to use laundry bags. I just shove it in the sink.
And that's okay as long as you're gentle.
I am, and my sink's small enough that I'm not worried about it. The sink that I learned was that 15 gallons.
Oh yeah, at least the big utility sinks.
Yeah, mine is very small. So I don't worry about it like being harmed in any way.
When all yours is from one animal, well, not necessarily one animal, but one shearing and it's already mixed in its bag. Some
Exactly.
of the times I was using the laundry bags, even if it was from the same animal, to keep colors separate. Like if it was Jimmy or Chloe.
Yeah, I remember doing that. You were very picky in how we sorted stuff,
Yes.
which is fine. I spin a lot, I have yet to actually ever knit with any of the yarn that I've spun.
That's funny.
I am currently working on spinning enough yarn to make me a pair of shoes, which I'm really excited for.
Which is your orifice hand?
I can go either. I will switch off when I get sore.
Okay.
What?
Oh, I don't know that I could go either.
Yeah, I go both ways. Which I don't think is traditional. I generally hold my wool in my right hand and draft from the left. But
Yeah, and that's your orifice hand, the one that's putting it into the orifice.
okay. See, I always start with that hand, but when I get, because that holding and pulling, you get cramps, so I will switch up.
All right. So as I'm sitting here thinking about it, you ready for this?
Uh-huh.
So when I'm spinning on the wheel, my orifice hand is my left hand.
Uh-huh.
When I'm spinning on my spindles, I am drafting with my right.
Yeah, I draft with my left.
That's hilarious. Okay. Because there's
I'm not
right or wrong way
surprised.
to do it.
You're just backwards.
It's just got to be consistent. Consistency is one of the keys to life.
For our closing thought, what was the best, most favorite project you ever completed? And for me, that would be a vest that I knitted out of a wool linen blend. That was actually for a Make It With Wool project. I don't actually think we ever went there though, because of COVID. But I could be wrong. And I paired it with a pair of jeans and my jean jacket, and I thought it looked fantastic. I still have it. It does not fit the same, but that is because I shrunk it on accident.
Oh, that happens.
Yeah, I cried. What about you?
I think if I had to pick one right now, it is my Aurora cape design. It's lace weight yarn that I dyed probably with Kool-Aid, and I took that project to Kansas, and the charts I made for that thing covered the table. There was a lot of math involved, there's shaping involved, and I did actually finish it. Did that one go to Make It With Wool?
I don't think so. I only remember going once.
I went twice.
Yes.
Maybe that was my first Make It With Wool project, because my Stephen West sweater is the one where you and I went together.
Yeah.
I'll have to go back and look.
No. Was that a Stephen West pattern?
My sweater?
Because that sweater was inspired from a Seventh Heaven episode, a sweater that Mary was wearing.
Only the
I
color.
thought she designed that.
No, the colors were inspired by it. But the
Okay.
pattern is Stephen West's, one of his marling, because I had to hold two yarns together the whole time.
Okay. And then I don't remember. We didn't go the second year. I remember getting yarn and everything for that, but we just didn't go.
No, but we made the project, or I'm not really sure how all that fell out.
I think it was because of COVID.
Probably. Or they moved the location.
I don't know. But there
I,
was also some other stuff going on.
yeah,
I didn't get judged fairly because they said my work was too good for my age.
yeah,
It's the dumbest reason to lose.
right?
They believed that I did it. They just didn't think that I was doing age appropriate work.
Yeah, and then we were the only knitters in the room anyway.
Yeah.
Everything, and it's not because everyone else was a crocheter. Respect if that had been the case. Everyone else was sewing. They were sewing fabric. Wool
Oh, I
fabric.
remember why we stopped going.
And that might be it right there. Is because we
That,
couldn't
and then
get
they
fair
said that
adjustment.
it only had to be 60%.
Ah, they changed the requirement.
Yeah.
So that's why your piece was done. Because we always started our Make It With Wool projects usually in June.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes earlier if we had chose something bigger, because Make It With Wool not till November.
Yeah.
So we had time. But yeah. But yeah, I love that Aurora cape. I know I still have it, but I couldn't exactly tell you where it's at right now.
Yeah.
I had plans of ripping it out
No.
and salvaging the yarn and trying again because it ended up way too big.
It was really big.
It was so much fun though. And if I remember correctly, it was called Aurora because I think all the motifs I chose somehow or other reminded me of Aurora, Colorado.
Yeah. And I'd just like to say for any of those listening that if you're taking your stuff to school, I did that, I still do that, or anywhere, or if anybody's making fun of you for it, don't let that be what stopped you. Because had I stopped knitting for all the bullying I got, I wouldn't be where I am today. And knitting and crocheting and fiber arts in general is a sign of intelligence. It um, helps with stress, and it's just
It
it's
cuts your
art. It's a way to express yourself.
and science has now proven that knitting cuts your chances of getting dementia by half.
Yep.
So knit and then knit some more.
And just don't don't let someone stop you from doing something you enjoy.
Right?
They're just jealous.
A lot of the time.
You're gonna be warm. They're gonna be knocking on your door in the apocalypse.
Yes.
Let them first.
Zombie apocalypse skills.
Yeah.
Well, thank you everyone for listening. We appreciate you being here.
Drop ideas in the comments and let us know what your favorite project that you've ever made is, and how old you were when you learned to knit or crochet.
We always like to hear origin stories. It's usually the first question I ask somebody. So who taught you? Because some of the stories are absolutely amazing as to why somebody knows how to crochet or knit.
Yeah. And shout out to all you who learned on your own.
Yes. And then learn the wrong way, but you're still doing it anyway.
And there's no wrong way, there's just the correct.
There's harder ways, let's put it that way.
Yeah.
But that's a whole other story that I will be sharing on my Substack someday. Right. Happy making.